What we call individual is really just a collage, a byproduct of God or the Wizard of Oz, a seed out of the side, which was planted by wise beings to bring about a thing, whether evil or clean remains to be seen. So never trust the skies, the wise waiting intention. Then they scan the horizon for divine intervention. When they see it, they record it. The prophets read it and call it revelation. The preacher then sings to the congregation. Slaves go back to work and they sing from the plantation. Blacks versus Caucasians, Dominicans versus Haitians. The Serbs are launching nuclear attack against the Croatians. Christians say revelation is being...
El Padaro F. Electronica Allah, born September 19, 1976, as Timothy El Padaro Thedford. Easygoing, lazy, enigmatic, careful, tactician, regular, obsessive, nonchalant, intriguing, calculated, alien, all words used by either close friends or himself to describe an artist known as Jay Electronica. Put those words or phrases together and formulate whatever opinion you want about Mr. Misunderstood himself. Those words or phrases that spell out his stage name couldn't represent the fleeting MC more. In his words, he's better explaining himself through his raps, which is why I guess he rarely puts out music, because he hates explaining himself. But what he isn't willing to do, I'll do for you. Explain. You ask yourself, what's an artist that doesn't make art? A politician? Curator? What's an artist that makes art and doesn't release it to the world? A Virgo? Overly critical of self, methodical, misunderstood, lack of self-confidence? You see, trying to pinpoint Jay Electronica and understanding the fans' frustration with him as an artist only leads you down a road of more frustration. At the end, you tirelessly utter 3 words. Man, what if? Jay Electronica is one of the purest MCs of his lifetime, but sadly, when he's remembered, if will be the only word of explanation. Not like some of the big words describing him at the opening of this story. To say an artist qualifies for his growth to be stunted, there had to have been the ingredient of potential when they initially got on the scene that you knew if this, and that happens, there can be no stopping them. Electronica was that guy. His name alone represents a collective of music, but fights against his astro signs that have a hard time putting them all together. If you've waited from 2007 to 2020 for a full-length Jay Electronica album prior to its release that year, you're not impatient. You just needed proof that every artist doesn't create for public consumption, but every artist creates at their own pace, and when it's ready, I guess. But as a fan, Jay Electronica was supposed to have grown to a certain point by now, and he hasn't. Here are 3 reasons his growth as an artist was stunted. Respectfully, the fans. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. In 1996, Jay Electronica left his hometown of New Orleans on a quest to become a rapper. But not just any rapper, he wanted to be the best. A wake-up call of a friend dying and him trying to explain it to his mother, he used as his motivation to return as a different person. Most importantly, an accomplished musician. That voyage had him spend time in Philly, the DMV, Colorado, Atlanta, New York, and Detroit, where things started to come together. He was 19 years old, and looking at the dates, it must not have been easy. For him, nor the few that believed in his talent. He'd show up one day and lay the craziest verses, then disappear for months until he was ready to rap again. Sound familiar? A late bloomer that didn't get on until his early 30s, he was still given every connection to opportunity to make up for lost time. Thing is, lost time didn't only come in music. Stunt number 1, addicted to the journey of self. In my opinion, I think when Jay Electronica left his home in New Orleans as a late teen after his close friend was killed, he was on a quest to become a rapper, yes. But more than that, I believe he was also in seek of learning more about who he was as a person and his purpose in life. This is why you hear stories of him spending an entire week in the studio, then months away where no one knew where he was. He'd spend nights on different couches connecting with this artist and that producer, this fan and that radio DJ, because as a young man he was trying everything to get on as a rapper and also testing his energy against different people to gain knowledge of where he was best suited. He became a registered member of the Nation of Islam around that time as well, which shows another instance of seeking self-development. In 2007, he released a 15-minute project called Eternal Sunshine, The Pledge, on MySpace that began to bubble faster than even he imagined, leading to bidding wars for him as a rapper, to fans calling him the next big thing. To him though, none of it was real, seeing as he was still broke and sleeping from couch to couch. If he's so good, why, right? This self-assessment, I believe, led him deeper into finding out who he truly was, and while on course, he began to like finding knowledge of self more and more. The end of 2009 rolls around, and he and Just Blaze cooked up maybe the song that set the bar for Electronica, while preparing, as they thought, something simple for Angela Yee's morning show that would later be released by Just Blaze on Tony Touch's radio program, Exhibit C. Classic hip-hop song and perfect display of Jay's potential. He signed to Roc Nation, and quickly an album was set to be released that never happened. Thereafter came more rumored release dates, and they too were missed. Where was Jay? In England, stealing a Rothschild? As he grew as a person and his eyes began to open to all the things he really was, music became minuscule. Not in a negative way, but that he had grown so far along as a person that making music solely to become a big rapper and for fans to consume was just not as important as the small but tasty treats of knowledge of who he was and what he enjoyed. I mean, the guy was out riding camels, my nigga. But to fans who weren't a part of his personal journey, they just wanted him to rap more. Within that tug of war, years went by. On one side, Jay Electronica fully submerged in his self-journey. On the other, his music fans grew frustrated and moved on, while keeping an ear out for his return. Stunt number 2, what you scared of? Diddy's words to Jay Electronica, rapped by Jay Electronica on his Shiny Suit Theory single featuring Jay-Z. That question illuminated another stunt in Jay Electronica's music career that maybe in a weird way gave him more knowledge of himself that unlocked why he was seemingly running away from the pressure of his one-time dream. He was scared. Every year that went by, 10 almost exactly, I surmise he was afraid of putting himself out there for rejection. One that could ruin everything he was building personally and strip away a confidence and peace he worked so hard to acquire. He did release music over that 10 years, like Call of Duty, that didn't hit critics like Exhibit C or even close. Bars like, niggas call my album Detox cause they know I'm finna bring the next Chronic. A control verse few remember he was even on after the tsunami Kendrick Lamar created with his classic verse. But not an album. Did he still not believe in his rap talent? Was the latter Diddy reminded him he set for himself too high for his fear of heights? Or did he know through all the self-seeking voyages he became rusty and disinterested? I think he was afraid, and nothing's wrong with that. Afraid of failure and what that meant within himself. The clearest illustration of this is the March 13, 2020 album he finally released a decade or more late that had 10 songs and 6 of them featured label boss and best rapper in the game Jay-Z as a safety net in case he did fall to the critics. You can't go wrong with New Hove, right? Wrong. By all accounts, the album was lackluster, and his clear cry for help from Jay-Z was evident to say the least, which further took away from how fans wanted to view him. Over 10 years, and one of Jay Electronica's promotion of the album was that it was created over a 40-day and 40-night span. Over 10 years and you gave your debut album a little over a month? Come on, man. Stunt number 3, Gone Again. Unfortunately, fans, the journey is not done. Jay Electronica is still somewhere enjoying the path of knowledge and has clearly grown to a place where making raps no longer concerns him enough to put out an album every year. On October 5th, 2020, he released a second project, Act 2, The Patents of Nobility, The Turn. This was originally a demo of an album he was supposed to have dropped in 2010. It's been quoted by some as Electronica's best work. Although Jay-Z shows up on the single, it's his only feature, which shows where Jay Electronica's head was during this recording and the 40-day kidnap of Jay-Z Marathon his debut album was. He's going to be 45 in a few months, and I'm sure if rap wasn't a priority when he was in his prime early 30s, it's definitely not now. Now that he's probably found the person he was looking for in himself, he finally gets to enjoy who that is. Either way, the fans and music history missed out on beautiful pieces of art that was never created. All in all, I don't see Jay Electronica as a failure as a person. There's so much he has to be thankful for, and at the end of the day, he did what he set out to do 25 years ago, even if it was only enjoyed 100% by, well, him. It's all about him, as it should be. He's still playing in this weird space where I think people would still give his music a listen, and that's all he could ask for. This time, no features, Jay. No safety nets where you can fly instead of being afraid to fall. Salute to Jay Electronica, one of the dopest MCs I've ever heard, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.